Is this what we wanted? This is what happens when you put in the 12 most deserving teams. We got to stop doing it. When is the committee going to learn? I'm going to give you a great example of why teams like Indiana should never, and I mean never ever, be in the playoffs moving forward. And why this whole, oh, they only lost one game thing, it's irrelevant and it shouldn't be as big as a deal as people are making it.
Story all year long, a very likable program led by Coach Simone. I can see no character. They recover this onside kick. Bo Collins out there, the leading receiver. But it'll be interesting, right? In this transfer portal, out they go, in come other guys. Can they do it again next year? And those people that are wondering, hey, what's the benefit of the first round bye? I'd rather have the home game. That's one thing Percy said.
Turn on this other light here. You'll notice, or have noticed, I haven't said anything. Just give me a second. Turn this all the way down. This is, yeah, that's it. Making sure Indiana wasn't going to call that timeout. Probably sitting there wondering, Matt, why are you just nodding your head, dude? I'm going to ask you a question. Every single one of you. Come here. Is this what we wanted? Let me show you one more time before I scream and go on a rant and tangent, because it's coming. Is this what we wanted? Is this what we wanted? This is what happens when you put in the 12 most deserving teams. We got to stop doing it. When is the committee going to learn? The goal of the playoff, it's the same thing with the Heisman Trophy. I hate it for Ashton Jeanty. I do. He had a fantastic season. One of the greatest seasons you're ever going to witness. But he was not the best player in college football. You know who was the best player in college football? Travis Hunter. Who was more deserving of the Heisman Trophy? Jeanty. But that's not the requirements of the award. Same thing for the playoffs. They got it right last year with that final spot. FSU deserved to be in, but Bama, better team. FSU, what happens? They get completely curb stomped by Georgia. They beat them. How bad was it? 63-3. God, that game was awful. And then Alabama, played Michigan close. Alabama was a better team. Nobody's going to argue with that. But then this year they go back to, we got to put in Indiana. They went 11-1. How can we not put them in? They went. Sorry if I'm coughing in this video. I'm coming down with I don't want to say a cold, but I just started coughing within the past 5 hours. My apologies. But yeah, we got to put, like I was saying, Indiana in. They went 11-1 in the Big Ten. Here's another thing. This is a different video for a different day. Since when is going, Mike's tangled up. Since when is going 11-1 in the Big Ten amount to a hill of beans? How many national championships? I think the announcers were talking about it at the end of the game. The Big Ten has 2 national championships in the past 20 years? 20-something years? The Big Ten ain't even that. I mean, they all right. Don't get me wrong. But I say it all the time. It's a sorry and sucky Big Ten. Big Ten sucks outside of 2 teams every single year. That's it. Even with adding the teams they added this year, the conference still sucks as a whole. Northwestern, Iowa, Michigan State, Maryland. I mean, Rutgers. This conference sucks, man. And Big Ten fans, you know I'm right. You know it. And I already know people are sick and tired of it. Matt's just, this huge SEC fan at home. I'm not. It's reality. The SEC is the best. I'm going to give you a great example. Well, first things first. Let me clap it up to Notre Dame. I forget to do this. And I don't know why I didn't make this video before the game started. I did my bracket video last night. I told you guys. In the bracket video, it's documented on the channel. Can't make it up. Notre Dame's going to beat the absolute snot out of Indiana. What happened? They beat the absolute snot out of Indiana. I tweeted it out. If you don't follow me on Twitter, feel free to do that. I tweet during the games. I tweeted about like 15 minutes before the game, or maybe it was like right before kickoff. Notre Dame's about to beat the absolute snot out of Indiana. What happened? Beat the snot out of them. Indiana like a JV football team. It was embarrassing to watch. I was embarrassed for them. And I am not an Indiana fan. Let me write this down for you. Oh, but by the way, we are super close to hitting 355K. I will address that in just a second. We're going to do this in live time. Just be patient. This is real short and simple. We'll do it with the blue marker. Whiteboard's a little uneven. Whatever, we're going to roll with it. I'll write this down for you. 27-3. Can y'all see that? 27-3. And Notre Dame, here's the worst part about it. They didn't even play that good. Riley Leonard had an awful pick to start the game. Indiana can't do anything with it. 27-3. Move that out the way. We'll go over here. I'll write down the stats, some more in just a second. And I already know what the nerds are saying. They're flying to the comments. Matt, the final score was at 27-3. Sorry. I can't scream because I'm going to be coughing. Just stick with me. I guess you could say I'm kind of sick filming this video. Matt, the final score was 27-17. Buddy, you know it and I know it. Those garbage points, in basketball terminology, the garbage buckets that Indiana got at the end of the game, that was nothing more, nothing less than garbage points. The game is over. Notre Dame, they're in prevent defense. Indiana got the onside kick. Notre Dame just letting them get the... Dude, this was a blowout. The final score, not a good indicator. There's going to be some people that just see the final score and they're going to go, hey, that ain't bad. You know, Indiana only lost by 10. No, they got blown out. It was 27-3. Argue with a brick wall. Got completely dominated. Notre Dame was just bigger, stronger, faster. I mean, watch the bracket video. Everything I said that was going to happen in this game happened. I knew on the offensive line, defensive line, Indiana couldn't hold up. It's the same thing as Ohio State. Notre Dame's going to blitz. They're going to man up and say, hey, if you can beat us one-on-one with your wide receivers, which we don't think you can, you're going to win the game. You're going to have a good shot. And guess what? Rourke, I mean, he looked awful today. I know some people are like, oh, he's kind of banged up. It's not an excuse. My grandfather always told me, if you're playing, you're obviously not hurt enough. So, yeah, you can't use the injury excuse. He told me that, so I use the same, I guess you'd say, principles or apply the same principles when I evaluate and talk about players that are kind of hurt in the game. Rourke, he played, so I don't want to hear the injury excuse. His wide receivers didn't do a good job getting open, and also, too, when they forced a turnover in the first quarter, he made a terrible read. He had a guy wide open in the flat, decided to get risky, threw it over the middle of the field. Terrible pass. Safety picked it off, and then Notre Dame skedaddles for a 98-yard rushing touchdown, and I knew when that guy ran it in, well, I knew Indiana had no shot heading into the game, but I knew when Love ran into the end zone, I believe that's who it was, one of their many great running backs, the game was all but over. It's not a fair fight, as some would say. We got to ban teams like Indiana from the playoffs. And y'all think I'm joking? I'm not joking. Being dead serious. And you know what? I ain't going to pull up the stats for this game. I'm just going to read off the rushing yards because that's the only thing that matters. Notre Dame, 193 rushing yards with a 98-yard scamper. Indiana, I know they had less than 100. Yeah, 27 carries for 63 rushing yards. If you don't get over 125 rushing yards, you're not going to beat any playoff team. More than likely. This is what the committee wanted. This is what college football fans wanted. And I've always said this, college football fans, they hate to see the SEC get in. But then, when you put in a team like Indiana over a SEC team, you get blowouts. And then, those same people who didn't want the SEC in are crying and complaining, oh yeah, college football, man, kind of sucks because there's too many blowouts. You're being a hypocrite. Don't argue about the blowouts. You can put an SEC team in there, they're not getting blown out. And before some of you geeks say, oh, Matt, Alabama. Now, I ain't even talking about Alabama. I'm talking about a team like South Carolina. I had South Carolina ranked ahead of Alabama. I'm not trying to tell you that Alabama deserved to be in this playoff. I've made this evidently clear. They didn't deserve to be in the playoff, but I tell you this much. They had to put up a way better fight than old Indiana. But Alabama ain't even my first team of choice. It's South Kakalaki. South Kakalaki should have been in this playoff over Indiana and SMU. You can take that to the bank. South Carolina beats Indiana by a 30 burger, if not more. And by the way, Curt Cinetti, he needed this. He is the cockiest coach And at first I liked him to begin the year, but dude, this guy's just cocky for no reason. You beat nobody and you act like you're Nick Saban. I don't know if it's just me who he's rubbed the wrong way to end off this year, but good gosh almighty, I couldn't imagine getting a big head because I beat Northwestern, Rutgers, Maryland, and Iowa. And then you get blown out by Ohio State. Craziest thing I've seen in a while. Acts like Nick Saban, but he ain't even near a Nick Saban. I'm going to give you a great example of why teams like Indiana should never, and I mean never ever, be in the playoffs moving forward. And why this whole, oh, they only lost one game thing, it's irrelevant and it shouldn't be as big as a deal as people are making it. I don't know if it's like this everywhere in the Southeast, but in Alabama at least, we had classifications. It was 1A to 7A. 1A being your smaller schools, 7A being your, and that was as high as it went. Yeah, 7A, it was your biggest school, or biggest schools at that. In other terms, division, 1 to 7A. And one of my friends, this was my, my junior year in high school, he was on a 6A basketball team. Just to clarify, that's not how good you are, that's just their division or their class based on how many students go to their school and whatnot. And they, I think their record through 10 games was either like, I can't remember exactly, but it was like 3-7. They had an awful start. It was either 3-7 or 4-8, something along those lines. And they played a team in a Christmas tournament, and the reason I remember this is because we was talking about it on the phone late last night, who was 11-0 in their first 11 games. But here's the kicker with that. And you're probably sitting there wondering, oh, well, that team that 11-0 probably kicked their butts because like you said, Matt, they were 3-7. But the team that was 11-0 was a 2A team. Yeah, they went 11-0. Clap it up to them. But they were playing weak competition. And my friend's team, yet again, was 3-7. And if you're sitting there saying, well, Matt, how did one team play 11 games and your buddy's team only played 10? It's basketball. That happens all the time. Long story short, my friend's team plays an 11-0 team and they beat them by 40. Now, you're probably sitting there wondering, Matt, why did you just share this stupid story of what happened with one of your friends in high school? Because it's the greatest example I can give you. It doesn't matter if a team is 10-0, 11-0, heck, even 12-0 if they don't play anybody. We should stop looking at, oh, this team only has one loss, and evaluate the team for who they are. And evaluate the team for how they look against other top 25 teams. And how did Indiana look against Ohio State? Like trash. How did they look tonight against Notre Dame? Like trash. Similar to my buddy's basketball team, who was 3-7. Believe it or not, it was actually more impressive to go 3-7 in his league than it was to go 11-0 in 2A classification in the state of Alabama. Because although one team was 3-7, a main reason they had like 5 or 6 of those losses is because they was playing teams from Georgia, Florida, not just some scrub-a-dub-dubs. I'm talking about the top teams. They were driving, taking charter buses to these games. With all that being said, Indiana's all right. They had a decent season, but that's all they are. All right. Didn't deserve to be in the playoff. It was just one of those weird situations where the committee really couldn't justify taking them out, so they had to leave them in there. It is what it is. I just hope moving forward, we never make this same mistake again. And I'm going to say this before the game even happens. I said it last night. SMU is going to get steamrolled by Penn State. And Penn State ain't even that good. You know it and I know it. But they're still going to beat the crap out of SMU. Watch. It's going to happen. I tweeted it out. Teams like SMU, Arizona State. No. Who was the big four? Yeah, SMU, Arizona State, Boise State, and oh my goodness, who was the other one? Oh yeah, Indiana. Those 4 teams combined have a 0% chance of winning a national championship. Not even 0.0001. No, 0. They don't have a chance. This isn't March Madness. This is college football. Big difference. Many more things I could say. I'm kind of under the weather right now. I don't know what's going on in my throat. Just been coughing a lot. Hopefully feel better in the morning. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below about that.